Welcome back to week 4. In this lecture, we're focusing on seeing others differently. I love the illustration that Chip Anderson used of bringing the sunglasses to the meeting and challenging his coworkers to look at people through strength-based lenses and seeing them through the lens of strengths. And what a legacy he left at his own funeral, where his colleagues are really paying respect by illustrating what they've learned and the changes that makes. And so I want you to begin to make that transition in your own life. How do you begin to view others through the lens of strength, seeing what's best about them? It begins with doing that for yourself. When you see yourself through the lens of strength, there's some things that happen. We've looked over the last couple of weeks at accepting and developing your strengths and your talents. And we said that the awareness, acceptance, and development of strengths leads to a couple of things. It's an increased self-awareness. You know more about yourself now than you did 3 or 4 weeks ago. There's an increased self-confidence. There's a confidence that comes with, oh wow, here's some areas that I'm good at. Here's some things I can learn to build that talent into a strength, and it's builds my confidence in knowing how to do that. There's an increased understanding of self. Understand why I cry at the commercials, or why I have to have more information. I understand more how I'm wired and how I think and how I act and how I react, and I begin to work on that. There's increased self-competence. The better I become at what I'm good at, where my strengths are, the more competent that I become in what I'm doing. There becomes an increased ability to deal with conflict with others, because we begin to see now that what we perceive as conflict is really a difference in our strengths, and we can see how that's changed. There's an increased awareness of differences and greater ability to solve interpersonal conflict. I can see where our differences are, and I can solve that interpersonal conflict now. And then there's a change of attitude of conflict and crisis to one of opportunity to find common ground. The conflict in my family or the people I'm working with, I don't see it as a crisis now. I see it as an opportunity for us to work together, and how do we become more productive and more effective in what we're doing as a family or as a work team or as a learning team because of that. So here's some things that begin to happen when you see yourself through the lens of strengths and you see yourself through your strengths. It makes some changes, because here's some things that happen. You see yourself differently. Life has helped create a false sense of who you are because it has focused on your weaknesses or what you don't do well or your failures. This deficit evaluation develops a false negative self-concept. Accepting your strengths manifests a new you. You begin to realize that there are things that you do well, that you are more of who you are, and you're able to do that even better when you focus on that. You see your future differently. This newly accepted you also comes with future possible selves. Kind of a new agey term, but what it means, it helps you see that you're not stuck where you are. You're not stuck in your failures. You're not stuck in your past. You're able to move forward with a new direction. You're able to set goals and objectives for your future based on what you know about yourself. And then you see others differently. As you learn about your talents and strengths, it becomes natural to do so with others. I hope by now you're able to take that list of 34 talents and strengths and begin to analyze the people around you, and you probably can pick out their top 1 or 2 strengths because you know those definitions, you've learned those things about yourself, you're reading about them, but you begin to recognize them. And now behaviors that once irritated you, you kind of understand they're disciplined. They have to have everything in the refrigerator in the exact order. Or they're a woo and they've got to meet everybody at the party, or they're a relator and they're not comfortable in that. And so you're beginning to recognize those things about other people, and the things that sometimes drive you crazy about the people you're in closest relationship with are really, it's a strength that's different than yours, and we begin to learn to appreciate that. Because we've got to learn to work together in relationship, because, well, think about this. So much of life is a learning team or a work team or a family unit. And so there's conflict that rises in those relationships. You know, being late for class or a learning team, you're in charge of the group and there's somebody that's always late. And it just drives you crazy because your responsibility strength wants them there on time and you want to get started on time. But guess what? Their woo strength, they've got to meet everybody in the hallway. They've got to talk to the instructor. They've got to do all that. Compare a sense of urgency or drive. You know, there's that activator that's just got to get started on it. And you're that deliberative or that analytical. Wait, we need more information. We can't write this paper yet. We can't make a decision yet. Assuming an increased need for data or lack of decision making. You know, they can't make a decision, or they need this, or overabundance of emotion or lack thereof. It's like, well, that person is just cold-hearted. That doesn't move them at all. And you may be the crier. You may be the. So you see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, all of these things that are differences that can cause conflict, I can begin to appreciate about that person. I can begin to enjoy that about the person. I can begin to move past conflict. I can learn to work with someone based on those things. And it begins to change that. When I change how I'm viewing people, I change my relationships.